Hey there, it's Firmbark. Thought I'd do a video about the modifications I've made to my camper over the last couple years. I've done quite a bit of stuff to it, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of go over it and do some before and after, and maybe give other people some ideas what stuff they can do with their camper. Kind of tight in here, so bear with me on some of these shots. This is the front of the camper, and you're looking at a bunch of totes that I put in, and what used to be here was the bed. You can see my dehumidifier right there. If you live in a cool climate like I do, one of these is just about a necessity if you don't want to be have water puddling in your windows every day. But yeah, that bed was too short for me. My feet actually hung off the end of it, so I put these totes in. This red thing right here is actually just it's actually a table. It's a camp table, and then on the inside is some little more storage container things. So if I go camping, I can take this outside and set up a little kitchen with that table right there. Then another thing I did is I brought a dresser in, and this thing is actually on a dolly, so I can move it around in this room because it blocks that closet door right there. So this closet is pretty much just holds things that I don't get into very often because it's a bit of a pain to move that dresser out of the way. And then the other thing I did is I put in this clothes rack right here, which is pretty handy because typically campers are not really good for hanging clothes up. So in theory, that's where the clothes are supposed to hang, but it's actually too short. So if you try to hang stuff in there, your pants don't hang down far enough, and it's just not wide enough for shirts. It's just a bad idea. I did add a lot of lighting up right here. I actually put LEDs in. That's pretty common retrofit for campers. And then this is an LED light fixture that I have hung up, and I have a couple more getting here. This guy right along the ceiling is something I added in. That adds a lot of good light. If you're gonna spend a lot of time in your camper, putting in something like this is gonna make a big difference. Although I mean, I got this for free, so that's what I stuck in there. But if I was to do it all over, I would do them all like this one right here, because this is low profile enough that it doesn't catch on the door when you open the door. And that other one I just showed you hangs down a little bit, and every once in a while I smack the cupboard on it. This under cabinet light I put in right here, that's super nice. And this area right here was actually a sofa bed, and I took the sofa bed out and I put in these, they're basically cutting board islands. So it's 3 different islands, and they have doors that hang down. And I just kind of put them together to look like one thing. So that works out pretty good for me. It gives me a ton of extra storage and a ton of extra counter space that you don't normally get in an RV. I don't normally use the oven in here. I mean, like, I used it one time just to see if it worked. So I converted it to a wine cellar. So that works pretty good for that. So up on top here, it looks like there's 3 cabinets. When I bought the RV, it was 2 cabinets and a radio. And I took the crappy radio out and made it into a cabinet space, which of course gives me a lot more storage area. One big upgrade that I thoroughly recommend is getting rid of your crappy faucet that came with your RV sink and putting in a proper faucet. This is just so much easier with the lever. You can, if you got dirty hands, you can turn it on with the back of your hand. It's got a sprayer function in it now, and I got a thing where I can go around and rinse out the whole sink. It's just so much better. And then I also changed this faucet right here. Is another modification I did to the trailer. It's connected to a water filter, and I just like having my water filtered out of the water tank from the RV before I drink out of it. So it's just something I like. Sink right here in the back by the bath, and I really like this a lot too, just because it's so much easier. Once again, you can turn the faucet on with the back of your hands. If your hands are dirty, you can run it. It just really so much handier. Okay, where you see the Mr. Buddy heater right there on the floor, that used to be where another bench was as part of the dinette. I rotated the table 90 degrees and took out the dinette, and it really opened up this space right here. It's much easier to walk around. It's more open feeling. That was definitely a nice improvement. and I pretty much just use this chair all the time, and that's basically just kind of a shelf. I took the cushion out, I got to put it back in. Now, where I sleep is back here in this corner, which is kind of a pain to get into and out of, but not that big of a deal. I'm kind of used to it now. I took the cushion out of the top bunk, and I put in these drawers right here. So I got 2 sets of one kind, and I got 3 sets of another back there. Actually, I don't even use the ones in the back. I have so much storage in here now, it's not really a big deal for me. I'm not struggling like I was before trying to find space for everything. I installed that TV right there into the wall. So I mounted a bracket against the wall to hang that up, and then I also put these shelves in right here that house the stereo equipment, Xbox. That amplifier is actually sitting on the shelf that was already part of the camper. That's where they kind of wanted you to put the TV in the first place. You can see up in the top where I have, you got the coax cable coming down in the 12-volt power supply if you're going to run a 12-volt TV off of it. So that's just a nice thing to have right there, just a little extra space that wasn't being used for anything. The walls are thin. I used these toggle bolts right here to hold those shelf units up because I just didn't want it to pull up. This stuff is just paper thin. So if I tried to hang shelves off of that without some extra support, that had been on the ground a while ago, I think. Believe it or not, this camper did not come with any towel holders, so I put that one in right there. I got a couple more I need to install. Just would be super handy if I did. I already have them. I don't know why I haven't done it. And then another nice thing I did that I like a lot is this little thing that goes over the toilet right here wasn't there before, and it actually screws to the wall, so it's not going to fall down when I'm driving. But you know, this is a space that you just don't use very much, and look at all those extra shelves I get. So if you got space in your commode area for one of these things, I highly recommend it. I did hang up that magnetic strip right there to hold all my knives and spatulas, and looks like a little bit of tools. But that's super handy because once again, storage is at a premium in a camper, and it's really nice having that kind of stuff just hanging up wherever you can. There's lots of other things you can hang up on the walls that give you a lot of storage space, and I thought about putting some of those in, but I haven't done that. Here's another under counter light that I put in. I like this one a lot. That's a good size right there too, and it's really bright. It's bright enough that it actually lights up my stove top. I still every once in a while turn on the light that's built in there. Let me see if I can get that. That one's pretty weak though, but whoops, it does the job. Already on some of the improvements I've made to my camper over the last couple of years. Hopefully it gives somebody an idea about stuff they can do with their camper. I know campers are not really set up for long-term living, so you kind of have to make some changes if you're going to do any kind of long-term stay in a camper. And a lot of these things that I've done are just a result of thinking and doing stuff over time. And so far, most of it's worked out pretty good. There's a couple things I'd probably like to do over on, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with the stuff I've done.